Your summer reading, how about the latest in the hugely popular Divergent series? Veronica Roth series has sold more than 22 million copies worldwide and became a hit movie last spring.
Yeah, the latest in this series is called For, a Divergent collection. I had a chance to speak with Veronica Roth herself. You're the author of Divergent, which, we're all, those of us who love this genre are really getting into, and you're back now with For. And I have to ask you, first of all, this genre, this catering to young adults, these are stories that appeal to adults, too. I mean, let's be clear. Did you ever envision that that would be the case?
Right. Well, it makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, as much as we'd like to think that high school ends at high school, and that the struggles that we have there about our identity and about our future and about the people we should become end, they don't end, actually. I think you have those struggles for the rest of your life. So when you read books that honor those difficulties and, I don't know, speak to that little teenager inside of you, I think that that's a really powerful thing. So it doesn't really surprise me that adults are interested in reading it.
Yeah.
Plus the pacing's great in young adult books, really. They move pretty quickly, which is nice.
Yeah, I mean, and these are books I never thought I would read, and now here I am reading them. Talk about For, if you can, and what it's all about, and people who love Divergent, I mean, they're going to love this series too, right?
Well, I hope so. So For is a collection of stories written from the perspective of For, or Tobias, who is, obviously a main character in the Divergent trilogy, as well as Triss's love interest. So the first three stories in the collection explore his backstory, his decisions, his choice of faction, and his initiation. And then the fourth one overlaps with the events of Divergent. So you get to see him meeting Triss. So the love story from the other angle, which is it's fun.
Yeah, I like that. So you're giving fans sort of an inside look at, these characters and how they sort of came to be, right, in this?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, his backstory became a lot more interesting to me as the series went on. So it felt, kind of like an urgent story to tell, like something that my readers would like to see, and a good way of closing out the whole series as a whole.
Yeah, that's got to be a struggle for you as a writer, because, people fall in love with these characters. They get very, I don't want to say, they get emotional, territorial. This is my character. What are you going to do with them? Do you ever feel that pressure as a writer that if I do the wrong thing, I can get a lot of people really mad at me?
No, I try not to think about that much, not because I don't care, but because, if you think about what everyone wants, then you can't think about what's best for the story, because everyone wants something different. And I have to think about the characters I created and what they would realistically do and what might realistically happen to them, in an unrealistic environment. So I try not to dwell too much on it. And, I'm really attached to these characters, too. So I would love for them to all end up in extremely happy places. But sometimes that's just not good for the story.
What do you think of the movie Divergent, how it turned out, and the choice of characters or the choice of actors? How do you feel about all that? Do you feel that they did the story justice? Hollywood did the story justice?
I really do. I mean, I think the movie's a lot of fun to watch. It's really beautiful. The shots of Chicago are breathtaking, and I think the cast is incredible. So it was really a joy to watch. And it helps that I entered it with as open a mind as possible. I just wanted to see, someone else's interpretation of my work. And I really feel like Neil Berger, the director, tried really hard to, respect the original work while also exploring and kind of having fun with it himself. So I think it worked out really well, and I'm excited to see what they do with Insurgent.
Yeah. Two questions, real fun ones. First of all, what did you read growing up? I always love to ask authors this question because it's very telling. What did you read growing up?
I read a lot of sci-fi and fantasy, but for younger readers. So the first dystopian book I ever read was The Giver by Lois Lowry, which is just a beautiful book.
Yeah.
I also read, I'm trying to think of pivotal books. I mean, Harry Potter, obviously, it came out like right when I was at the age for it. So it was a huge part of my life. And then A Wrinkle in Time by Madeleine L'Engle. And I also read Dune by Frank Herbert when I was probably too young to understand it. So those are some of my favorites.
And which faction would you choose, I have to ask?
Oh gosh, this is a tough one because I really wouldn't want to choose any of them. They all sound like a terrible way to live, I guess. But If forced, I would probably choose abnegation because I think selflessness is an important quality to cultivate in yourself. And I don't know, I'd probably defect because I wouldn't be able to take it.
You can't just choose one, right? You can't choose just one. I love what you're saying, and I love that
you shouldn't have to.
The stories have meaning. I mean, these are fantasy. It's fantasy. We get caught up in the characters, but there's a real strong lesson for young readers and adult readers alike. That each of the characters brings, and of course what your books are all about. So Veronica, thank you so much. It is such a pleasure talking to you, getting a sense of what you're thinking right now and what you're looking forward to. We thank you for sharing some time with us today. We appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me.